On the hunt for a high-performance mid-length surfboard? Well, the Harley Ingleby Mid 6 might be exactly what you've been looking for. Hi guys, Chris from Stoked for Travel here. Welcome back to the channel. Now before I get started, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any video goodness. Now today we're going to be talking more about one of my favourite categories of surfboard, the mid-length surfboard. It's everyone's favourite board in their quiver at the moment, plenty of paddle power and heaps of waves. But today we're going to be talking about the high performance end of the mid-length spectrum, and more importantly the Harley Ingleby Mid 6 surfboard with Thunderbolt technology by Tolhust. This board has been raved about all over the internet, and people like Kevin Schultz and of course Harley Ingleby himself are absolutely shredding on this board. So I managed to get my hands on one for a full review, so yeah, let's jump straight in. So who is the Harley Ingleby Mid 6 aimed at? Well, this mid-length surfboard is certainly not what you usually associate with the mid-length surfboard category, and there's a lot of performance packed into this board. The entry and exit rocker profile, the channels, the quad fin setup, it all adds up to a very performance-orientated mid-length. And for that reason, it's definitely not aimed at kind of the beginner and lower end of the intermediate spectrum, or people looking at surfing in kind of smaller, mushier waves. If you are looking for kind of a more entry-level mid-length, check out the link in the description below to my full mid-length surfboard guide with a few more options for those kind of wave types and skill levels. But if you are a surfer in the kind of higher end of intermediate and advanced who was looking for a mid-length, then the Mid 6 is a great option and is definitely aimed at you. Longboarders who want to drop down a bit of size and get a bit more performance but keep paddle power, great, it's going to tick those boxes. Shortboarders looking to size up to get a bit more wave count but without sacrificing too much performance, does that as well. So if you're in any of those categories, or someone who just wants a performance mid-length that can handle a bit of punch, the Mid 6 is definitely an awesome option for you. Now let's talk tech specs and board breakdown. Now the Harley Ingleby Mid 6 currently comes in three sizes: the 7.0, the 7.6 and the 7.10 option. Now the board I tested out was the 7.6, which came in at about 47 litres. Not that volume makes a huge difference when you go into the mid-length spectrum. There's going to be a lot of foam in them. They're pretty long boards at the end of the day. The 7.6 was a little bit bigger than I was hoping to test out. I did want to get my hands on the 7.0 and really test out the performance of this board. But the 7.6 was still really great underfoot and still had heaps of performance, which is something I'm very pleasantly surprised at. In terms of entry and exit rocker, you've got plenty of entry rocker for those more performance-orientated maneuvers and also hollow, steeper waves, and a medium exit rocker. Now usually this combo would inhibit paddle power a little bit, but they've put the wide point just forward of center, which has really kind of helped retain that mid-length feel to this board, and you will have all the paddle power that you'd want from it. Obviously the most distinctive characteristic of the board are the channels running through the bottom. 6 of them in fact, hence the Mid 6 name tag. Unlike a lot of kind of boards with channels, these are really elongated and run a large part of the length of the board. They're not just constricted into that back third through the fins. And these really added to the speed and flow of the board without being too deep and feeling like you're locked into a line. I still feel like that despite the channels and the extra grip they provide, this board was still really maneuverable, still really loose underfoot. Even with that quad fin setup, that kind of pulled in tail really compensates for that, doesn't lock it into a line. Now let's talk about construction. Now the Mid 6 comes in Thunderbolt technology, which is Firewire's go-to construction for their longboards and performance models. In fact, the Thunderbolt Red technology has proven so successful in the Harley Ingleby series, the Ben Skinner series, and the Taylor Jensen series that Firewire have opted to roll it out across their range in their more performance longer models for 2023, including the likes of the Seaside and Beyond as a replacement for their older LFT technology, which I actually wasn't a massive fan of, so I'm glad they've made the move to Thunderbolt technology. Thunderbolt Red, which is what the Mid 6 is constructed from, has plenty of strength but doesn't sacrifice on weight or durability or flex. So those are 3 really good ticks for a mid-length board. So you're going to get a really durable, really strong board with plenty of performance packed in. Now when it comes to fin setup on the Harley Ingleby Mid 6, it does come as a 5 fin setup, so you can surf it as either a quad or a thruster depending on your personal preference. For me, I'm quads all the way. I don't really get on with thrusters too much, so quads are always my go-to when I have a 5 fin option. And the Harley Ingleby model is definitely designed as a quad as well. I spoke to Harley just before testing the board model out just to get a feel for what kind of fin setups to put in it, and that's the way he recommended going. So, you know, you're not going to argue with Harley himself, are you? When it came to quad setup that I put in this board, I got hold of the Harley Ingleby quads by FCS2 for this board test, which are Harley's signature model. Now, what I would say is this quad fin setup is quite large. Harley likes riding his quads pretty big. So if you're a smaller or a lighter surfer, you might want to kind of find a quad setup that's a little bit smaller with a little bit less surface area. Might be a little bit easier to surf and loosen up the board as well. So chuck your go-to quads in and see how you feel it out from there. For me, being 185 centimeters and about 82 kilos at the moment, the Harley Ingleby quads went really well in this board. I didn't feel like I needed to size down or change them out. They gave me heaps of drive, speed, but was still plenty of maneuverability packed into this board, even with the larger quad setup. So yeah, quad setup for the win on this, but give it a test and see how you feel. And of course, the biggest part of this review, what is the Harley Ingleby Mid 6 like to actually surf yourself? Look, I'm going to be totally honest with you. The first few sessions I had on the Mid 6 were not great. I couldn't figure out what was really going wrong with the board, whether it's the channels I didn't agree with, whether the fins were too big, or it's just the conditions I was surfing. And so it did sit back in my rack for a little bit, and I didn't touch it for a while, and I was kind of trying to figure it out and figure the best time to kind of test it out. I then decided to take it for a kind of bit punchier day at Watergoes Beach, which had a really nice roll-in section at the beginning, walled up really nicely and had a really nice bowly finish section. And then the Mid 6 completely lit up in these conditions. It paddled into these waves really easy, flew down the line, made short work of all the dead flat sections, and then was still heaps of performance in there for that really nice finishing turn in that nice little bowly end section as well. And it completely changed my opinion of the whole board, to be honest. It went from being a board where I was like, I'm not really quite gelling with this, to being, oh my god, this thing is absolutely electric to surf. It was fast, it was super maneuverable, really responsive, and really ticked all the boxes that I wanted this board to tick. I was really surprised, even in that longer 7.6 length and with those big Harley Ingleby quads, how quickly it pivoted around on the turns. Obviously that tail's really nice and pulled in, so it made short work, was really nice and pivoty, and you could throw it around a lot more than you might expect from a board of that size. That's really changed my opinion of this whole board, and it then became a go-to of my quiver for quite a while. It's just a really fun, fast board. You don't necessarily need to take it out into huge hollow conditions to really make the most of the performance. Even those kind of slightly smaller, but not quite mushy, but like a little bit more wally section, it really lights up and makes short work of anything that comes at you. Do some really nice little floaters, it turns really nicely in the pocket, and you're going to generate heaps of speed really easily on this board. Bottom line is, the fun factor on the Mid 6 is incredible. If you're a longboarder looking to drop down in size but gain a lot more performance, it's going to be really great. And if you're a shortboarder looking to add something a little bit longer to your quiver without sacrificing performance, it's also going to tick that box as well. Anyone from kind of high-end intermediate onwards is just going to really gel with this board, and it's going to take you into some great sections of the wave. It's going to allow you to perform really well. It's just going to up your wave count without sacrificing too much performance. And at the end of the day, that's all what we want as surfers, isn't it? We want to be able to hit a nice section and catch heaps of waves during our session. So yeah, the Mid 6 ticks all those boxes for me. So what are my final thoughts on the Harley Ingleby Mid 6? Well, as I've already said before, it ticks a lot of the boxes. It's fast, it's fun, it's got heaps of performance, and it's definitely going to up your wave count. Having ridden it myself with the performance aspect of it, even in the longer models, you can suddenly see how easily people like Harley Ingleby are bust those crazy tight turns on the board, or people like Kevin Schultz are even taking to the air with it. It's just a board that's packed full of performance that's going to light up everyone's session. Longboarders looking to drop down without losing too much length and paddle power. Shortboarders looking to size up, a bit more wave count without sacrificing too much performance. The Mid 6 is that sweet spot that ticks the boxes for a lot of intermediate and advanced surfers. When it comes to price point, Thunderbolt technology is not the cheapest board on the market. They are definitely premium price point when it comes to mid-length surfboards. But that Thunderbolt technology is super durable, really strong, and super performance orientated. So it's going to be a great investment that's going to last you a long, long time if you look after your board. And that's the bottom line. Fun factor, durability, board that's going to last you a long time. What more could you ask for from a performance mid-length? And for those reasons, that's why the Mid 6 is definitely one of my highly recommended mid-length surfboards. And there you have it, guys. That's my full review of the Harley Ingleby Mid 6 mid-length surfboard. If you have any more questions about this board or any other mid-length surfboards in general, make sure you add them in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer them. Of course, check out the rest of my channel for heaps more reviews and guides. That's it for this week, guys. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next week.